Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And it's Coffee Ann on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. I am Joe Callahan. Nice to have you with us. And around the Coffee Ann table, see if I get this straight because we've played musical chairs. That's John Ward.
That is, yes.
That's Tim Draper. Okay, from Navigant Credit Union. And that's Melissa Smith from the St. Antoine Communities. All right, I got it all straightened out now. So, before we begin everything else, let's begin with the first message from the St. Antoine. No, I was going to move
my way a little bit.
I was going to move the camera.
Oh, you're going to move the camera? There you go.
No, well, she's going to move fine. That's easier.
Why? I don't move the camera. You got to climb and.
I don't have to climb.
Am I centered now? Am I like 1 inch to the left, 1 inch to the right?
Keep moving. Keep moving. That's good. Now bring the microphone with you. All right, now we're good. All right, time for first message, Melissa.
God, not many of you are watching.
That makes for great radio.
It certainly does. It certainly does.
Oh, my goodness. So what should my first message be about? Well, I will say that in my land, all things right now are Primrose Lane, which is our brand new memory care assisted living unit that we will soon be opening at St. Antoine Community. We have a generous wait list. So if you are interested in learning more about that unit, and how to qualify and the criteria to qualify for that unit, I encourage you to reach out to me. We are hoping that it will be opening in the month of June. I'm in my handy dandy Brooks sneakers this morning because we are officially moving some furniture into that space. So excited about that. And that means we're officially getting the ball rolling. So it feels good, feels promising. So if you would like more information about that unit, please reach out to me at 401-767-3500. Thank you.
Very good. Before we jump into the news type stuff, quick sports wrap. Nice of the Celtics to win their first game.
Last night, even though
it went into overtime.
I turned it off when they were down. When they went down again, I went, you know what? I'm just not going to watch this because my luck, they'll lose.
They hit Tatum hit a 3-pointer with 3 seconds to go.
I know,
to send it in overtime.
Right,
and then they won. So yay!
I didn't think it was Tatum.
No, did I have a round?
Yeah,
could have been Brown.
Brown.
Could have been Brown.
Nope.
No, somebody else?
Yep.
Okay.
No, it
I'm
was
not
Brown.
Positive.
It was Brown.
Okay.
It took me a minute. I was half asleep, and then I'm like, God, now I got to stay awake again.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the overtime. I did fall back asleep.
Wasn't that supposed to be a much easier game than what everybody predicted? Or were the Celtics just sort of like,
we were up. We should have won that easily, but
From what I was reading on Facebook, where's the defense, guys? One of those games again. So, but they won, so they're up 1-0. That's good. Boston Red Sox won last night. Rafael Devers did not hit a home run. So
Bummer.
6. He sets the record at 6.
Yep.
6 consecutive days with a home run. He's the only person in Red Sox history to have 6.
More importantly, we beat Toronto in a series in Toronto for the first time since 2019, which is pretty good.
Do you mean Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay, Sorry, Tampa Bay.
So that's good. And one more. The Worcester Red Sox won last night 20-4. They missed the extra point
Which
in the
game
ninth
did they
inning.
play?
They played the Norfolk Tides, which is the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, wow.
And they had their star, Norfolk had their star guy that's coming up. That's supposed to be the next Babe Ruth or whatever. His name is Jackson Holliday. He's Matt Holliday's, if you don't follow baseball, he's Matt Holliday's son. 2 years ago, he was playing high school baseball. So he is pretty good.
Yeah.
Matt Holliday was in the crowd last night, by the way, watching his son strike out 3 times in a row.
Graduated 2 years ago. He's a baby.
He is a kid.
He's
just a kid. And then he flew out to left field. And then he almost made an error. So I don't think his dad
Were you at
was
the
too
game
proud.
last night? Were you there? Yeah.
Yeah. But 20-4.
Yeah, but
6 home runs.
He's always got the excuse of,
Who?
Dad, you were there. You made me nervous.
Yeah,
But I think he knew he was there. Along with the he didn't sneak in. Oh, geez, Dad showed up. No,
still pretty nervous.
He just knew he was there. All right, so but 20. It takes a long time to score 20 runs.
It's a long game.
Tell you, it's a 3-hour and 10-minute game, even with the pitch clock. But 20 runs is a lot. So anyway, moving on. John, with your city council meeting, everything go the way you expected it to? Any surprises happen?
Yeah, there were no specific surprises. I mean, the whole budget thing was tabled, so that took out a lot of drama that'll be coming up. Next Tuesday is the public hearing, and then June the 4th will be the first budget budget discussion by the council. No, there was a little bit of diciness over this land deal in Second Avenue where the property was brought and because of a deed restriction was tied to another lot that wasn't connected to it, and then the owner then sold the new lot separately, even though the deed restriction said you can't. So,
Details.
so it had a new owner, and so because of the restriction, the owner of the original property on First Avenue was trying to sell it, and they couldn't close because it was tied up with the other. So it made for a very complex conversation about
I bet.
land issues that I'm sure had many, many viewers, listeners falling asleep. But it's
You got to deal with it, right?
it's interesting stuff you have to deal with. And but one of the interesting things we did do was, and I know Garrett Mansieri works hard to get these overlay districts, which are intended to relieve some of the burdens on locating businesses in the Main Street or downtown area, and we expanded it to include the lower portion of Providence Street and all the way down Hamlet Avenue, in addition to the entire Main Street area, which takes all those older buildings that have space available and makes them more attractive for small businesses to go into. So,
All right.
Those were two of the key ones.
All right.
Can I just give kudos to the city, because I drive by the old water treatment plant when I come to the station every day.
That's gone.
And it is gone, and that property is going to look really nice over there, and they did a great job.
And
taking everything
fortunately, I
down.
know when we first talked about putting the animal shelter there, I tried to make it a point to urge that we get the architect, knowing that we're going to have a pristine piece of land where there's going to be no
gonna be nice.
issues. I said, why don't we start now, get the architect, get him to start designing the building. We know the lot size, we know all the issues there, so get him to design it now. So we are at the edge of having the architect bring us the final design that can then be put into a bid spec and go out to bid. And so when they finish the landscaping there, we'll be at the point of going to bid, so the contractor can come in and start working and hopefully have it done before we get to the fall.
Well, the bike
or
path
late
goes
fall.
behind that, right?
The bike path
Right
goes
along
by
their
there,
property.
and part of the plan was to contact DOT, and I know they say it's difficult, but I said if you ask them, usually if we're going to do it out of our pocketbook, they'd agree, because when you'd go by the plant, because of the small amount of land that was an incursion into the bike path, it got narrow there. And it's always been a problem if you're walking and bikers are coming by, and so at sort of my insistence, I'm hoping they got approval, but it was ask DOT if we can, on our dime, finish out the bike path and make it a full width and move our property line back to give them the room to have a full bike path, and then have the entry into the animal shelter, because there's going to be a fence around it in any case, but move it back off the bike path space so we can open that up, and then have the animal shelter. And because of the roof design, they're not going to be able to do solar, so I've asked the architect to price up and include solar panels that would be out in a corner of the property that's in a floodplain area that we're not going to build on anyway, and maybe build them onto a post and then
there
underground
you go.
wiring, so that we can get some free utility into the building for electricity and such.
Creative solutions.
Great. All right. Another news going on, and this may affect you, Melissa. You live in North Smithfield, right?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm cringing.
Well, there's a suspected case of a rabid skunk. Now, I don't know if these are. Don't tell us. You can say, well, yes or no. It's in the area of Parkview Drive and Edward Avenue.
That's not near me.
No, there you go. Then you're all set.
Stay on that side of town.
But it's been detected and reported, and they tell you there's all sorts of things you're not supposed to do, like don't approach it.
Of course.
And if you see a skunk,
Oh, look at the cute skunk.
the skunks aren't cute.
Do you ever really think I'm gonna go near a skunk, whether
I
you know
know.
it's rabbit or not?
I jumped on a picnic table once to get away from a skunk that was under the picnic table.
And you went.
Yeah.
You chose to go on top of it.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking
Instead of
clearly.
running away
I
from
don't
it.
like skunks.
Really? Wow.
Having seen a skunk go through a hole in the fence that's only about this
yeah.
big, it's amazing how skinny they are under all
Yeah,
that
it's just
fluffy
all
fur.
fur.
It's so they say obviously if you see a skunk in the daytime, that's a real issue, right there. So really stay away from it. But Tim, I've been down in Jamestown at a campground down there, and it got to be dusk.
Yeah.
And a little after that, and we're just sitting at the picnic table, doing whatever, and you can feel them run over your feet.
Yeah, well, we were
And
at
they say, don't kick or anything. Just
Right.
they're just going to do what
let
they're
'em
going to do.
Right.
They'll be on their way, and everything's fine. And everything was fine.
Well,
no one jumped up on a picnic table.
we were fishermen's, and that's what happened. And I was, yikes, jumped on a picnic table. The rest of my family's in the trailer. Well, we had a camper at the time, looking out at me, laughing hysterically at the trailer.
Would you see the house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am
What's
not,
the matter with you?
I am not
Kill
the
it.
person
I'm gonna
that can
kill it.
quietly react to anything either, and I'm in big trouble if I actually encounter a bear because that whole like you're supposed to stay calm or
Oh, yeah,
Roll
you
up,
don't-
curl up in a ball.
whatever
Yep.
it is.
Don't-
No,
Aren't you supposed to
I am-
get big and scream and
Yeah,
holler
you're
at
supposed to. And that would probably be me
bear?
with my flailing arms.
I
As
don't know.
you've
Well,
seen
you've got
me
a lot of
talking on the
practice
phone
at that,
before.
then, so you're in good shape.
Don't do that with the skunk, though. That's just going to
On
frighten
any
them.
kind of animal.
I would think it would be interesting to see you acting like a bear to scare away a bear.
Somebody get that on film.
But
I
I,
know,
guess
I-
anybody
I-
can say that about anybody, right?
I frequently go to the Blackstone walking path, and I have to tell you, and I do go to the Woonsocket one as well. through the
No, no,
Lincoln
no.
one.
I
do.
go to
both.
Blackstone Greenway a
But
lot.
mostly that
It's
one
a
'cause
beautiful,
so
it's a
close
beautiful
to our,
place to
our
walk.
house. But I have to say, the little bit of rustling that takes place in the woods surrounding me, my husband laughs every time because I just think everything is big, and then all of a sudden you see a chipmunk.
It's a squirrel.
And it just
Have him pull out a cell phone and take some video of that next time. I'm curious.
That's,
Yeah, we
that's
just-
the difficult part about walking a dog along that path is every little rustling the head
There
goes.
you go, look for it. What is that?
And he wants to go chase it.
I mean, I
And it's
can't
usually
even.
a chipmunk or a squirrel.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely have a nervous Nelly reaction for everything.
But
So,
I have to say that Greenway space is
beautiful.
absolutely beautiful.
The
It's nice
only
and shady.
negative-
It's nice and shady.
If I had to give it one negative, is if you've gone up there in the winter, because sometimes there's a nice mild
Yeah.
day, because of the wood slats that they have on top of the bridges.
They're slippery.
Very,
It's so dangerous.
Yeah.
So dangerous. If you're running through
yeah,
there, you
they
just
are
you think
slippery.
they're just damp. They're not.
The
They're
one-
not.
the-
They're
the thing-
pure ice.
The thing I particularly appreciate about it is as you walk along, you can see on the trees frequently they have bat boxes.
Yeah, they
And
do.
the bats that they attract
Yep. Keep the
clear out
mosquitoes
all
down.
the insects along that path.
Absolutely.
There's nothing better than having bat boxes along the
yeah.
bike path because
What a great
it,
idea.
it takes. Oh, I mean, I've driven my bike back from Lincoln Town Hall to home when I was biking to work, and if I was too late in the evening and the sun was going down
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, it was like a buffet of insects coming
Mm-hmm.
at your mouth as you're trying to ride.
Oh.
I mean, it's just the haze
Yeah, you can
of
see
bugs,
it.
and I'm thinking. You know, somewhere
Where are
I
the
got to
bats?
contact, and I never bothered to
reason
do
for
it, and I
masks.
really should. Is DOT needs to get some bat boxes out on the
Yeah.
trees because they, up in Blackstone, it's clear as a bell. You don't
How
even
many are up there?
Oh.
You would
Oh, they're
guess.
pretty frequent.
about
Every
every
other
couple of
tree?
100 feet. You
Yeah.
see a bat box.
Okay.
Yeah, my
uh,
neighbors are into that too. We definitely we welcome the
They're a
bats.
big help.
They are right there.
You really
As long
don't
as they're
need
high enough
you
up.
don't need a treatment for insects in your yard.
No.
No.
If you can have like on a shed on the back wall of it, put a bat box up, or in the shady area so it's not getting direct
You don't want them
sunlight.
nesting in your house. You want them to be far enough away from your
Well,
Right.
house.
one of them is.
But if they
we've
have
had
the
them in
box,
our
We've
they're
had
not
a few
gonna-
neighbors have nesting in
They-
their attic.
If you have the bat box, they're
Yep.
probably not going to try to come into your house. But if, put it on a shady side, like a north face of a shed or something, and they will
Natural
clear out.
bug
They will
repellent.
clear out the insects in your area
Yeah.
at night.
That's a great Boy Scout project or Girl Scout
Yeah.
project. If
Make
they wanna-
those boxes?
for their final
That's
awards.
a very
Their
good idea.
It's
Silver
not
stars, the gold
complicated. It's only
stars.
about
Scouts,
a
you
3-inch
know?
Yeah, Eagle
opening,
Scouts, right, do it.
and nothing more
cheap,
than
it's a
you could
affordable
almost
project.
you could almost take those paper trays that you would have on a desktop and put a cover on it, attach it to a wall, and you got a bat box.
If the
basically.
Boy Scouts were to design them and make them as a project, is that something the city would, you think, get behind to hang them for them? Bring them up into the trees?
And on the bike path, everything is guided and controlled by DOT and DEM. So it's we could ask.
Let's get
Certainly.
an answer next week.
Let's give Peter
The
Alvini a
answer
call.
is
It's
no.
something that could be asked.
We have a
That's
bridge.
why I asked on the air.
We have a bridge.
They're
We
Boy
have Rich to
Scouts.
worry
They should
about.
learn
All
how
right,
to
I'm
stay
not
on
worried about
trees.
bat boxes. I gotta replace 195 West.
Oh my gosh.
All right, we're gonna take our first break here in the Coffee
Oh
Air
my
program. So it's back to Melissa for a second message
Yeah.
from the St. Antoine communities, please.
I wasn't prepared for the first message. So
Sorry.
now I gotta try to work on my second.
She didn't even come with a clipboard today.
I know.
Wow,
My mind is
nothing.
elsewhere. I'm so sorry.
That's all
So
right.
I did want to share. I mentioned last week on the air that I was finalizing some dates for our upcoming summer events at St. Antoine Community. And for those of you that are familiar with our property, we do try to do. We do try to do. That sounds very
We do.
welcoming. We do. A lot of community events. We like to welcome our neighbors and our friends and our family and staff and their friends and their family up to the property as much as we can, because it's so beautiful and it's a perfect spot for things like summer concerts and family fun days and all those kinds of things. So upcoming in the next few weeks, actually, on June 20th is going to be the Alzheimer's Longest Day celebration. I think that's the 19th. I think I keep saying the 20th.
That's
but I think-
Juneteenth,
Right.
19th of June. Yeah.
It's a Thursday?
Wednesday.
20th is a Thursday.
20th is a-
19th.
Okay, so I did this right. It is the 20th. I questioned myself. The golf tournament is on August 19th. I'm looking at it. I did not edit this list that's in front of me. I apologize to listeners. So, yes, the next event coming up is our Alzheimer's Longest Day celebration. We did it last year very successfully. We sold purple pinwheels for $5 a piece and raised a lot of money, almost $1,000 to donate back to the Rhode Island Alzheimer's Association. We're looking to do the same thing. So if you're interested in participating in this event and you want to support the Alzheimer's Association, you can stop by either receptionist desk at St. Antoine Community, either the Villa or St. Antoine Residence, purchase the pinwheel, and we will display it on the property on the 20th for a big celebration. More information to come.
All right, very good, Melissa. More coffee ads coming your way. We have a note to get to as well. You can call in your comments and questions at 766-1240.
Ed Carew here of the Carew Investment Group at 68 Cumberland Street in Woonsocket. Our telephone number is 765-8880. If you're looking for an investment firm that puts you first and works hard on your behalf, I'd like you to consider us. We're right here in Woonsocket, and we've been in business since 1987. So you don't have to go out of town for an experienced advisor, or work with an advisor based in Boston, New York, or who knows where. Someone you'll probably never meet. We encourage our clients to come to our office and sit down with us as often as they like. Why? Because we like to do business the old-fashioned way. We want to get to know you on a more personal basis so that we're more attuned to your financial needs. So if you're interested in speaking with us for a free, no-obligation consultation to find out how we invest your money, call us, Paul or myself, at 765-8880. Securities are offered through Bolton Global Capital, member FINRA and SIPC, and advisory services offered through Bolton Global Asset Management, a registered investment advisor.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
We are local and live at 99.5 FM.
Alrighty, it's Coffee In here on ON AM and FM radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with John Ward and Tim Draper and Melissa Smith. A note to get to here, 766-1240. Back to sports for just a little bit. The hangover letdown of the Boston Bruins fans has angered and lingered to the fans' expectations of the Celtics winning it all. Everything's been switched to them. Okay, it's all up to you.
All right.
and
Boston needs something.
and if they don't win it all, the whole thing's considered a failure.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well,
Boston,
they're the best team in basketball this year.
Boston is a very proud city.
What
with,
is it? If you're not the champion,
you're
a
nothing.
loser.
You're nothing.
If you're
That's
not
right.
first,
If
you're
you're not the
last,
champion,
John.
you
Haven't
suck.
you heard that
That's
before?
right.
Nothing more Boston like than that
If you're
statement
not
right
first,
there.
Takes
you're
quite a
last.
lot to get to the level they're in.
Boston is a very proud city where sports fans do not accept losing because of their winning ways, and they never will.
Well, maybe this generation of Red
Thanks.
Sox fans, but anybody that was
Well, sports
living
fans
their
are-
life before the
Oh, yeah.
1970s
They were garbage.
has learned to accept
Failure.
Boston failure
Well, we got to blame the Patriots on that.
over,
Yeah, the
over,
Patriots.
over
It's their
decades.
Yeah.
It'll cycle.
They've
It'll
created
cycle
this.
around, just
Well,
like
the,
fashion.
The women's professional hockey, Boston's in the finals
Yeah.
against Minnesota. I think they're tied 1-1. I think
Yeah,
Boston
one. Yep,
lost last night.
they did. They
So-
lost.
Thank you for that. I had
But
no
they,
idea.
yeah,
It's women's
but,
professional hockey, yeah.
But they get sellout crowds. I think they play at the Agganis Arena in Boston,
Oh,
up at BU. I think it's BU, and 4,500 fans
well,
come out to those games. So
I have
yeah,
a lot of
so
friends with
that's good.
daughters that are playing hockey in high school. I have to say, it's gotten very
It's big.
popular.
Right.
Hockey and lacrosse, and a lot of the hockey players play lacrosse. It's a very
Even the
Yeah.
guys do that.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
they like
So-
that contact.
The
sport.
contact, yep. And if you didn't hear, Caitlin Clark signed another deal, this time with Wilson Basketball,
Oh.
to have her own basketball. Her signature will be on the ball. So they haven't done this since Michael Jordan. So
Very
she's
cool,
a pretty
though.
pretty big
Yeah.
company right there. So
Yeah.
all right. Anybody fly Breeze Airwaves ever?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. They have a big announcement today
Uh-oh.
at Green.
Like in a positive way?
Well, it's something about their
Yes.
Because I have a trip
Yes,
booked
no,
with
this,
them.
it's supposed to be a good thing.
They're celebrating, what is it, their third anniversary
Third
in
year
business?
there. Yep. But the state and local leaders will be at Green to be
okay.
there for the announcement of whatever it is,
Maybe
to
they're-
comment on whatever it is.
Maybe
So
they're bringing more flights in, more.
Okay.
probably
I hope
they,
so.
they've made Providence their hub,
Right.
and so it's got to be. We're expanding.
Maybe
That's
they're
the only
building a
thing I
maintenance
can think of.
facility
I
there.
hope so.
That would be great.
Yeah,
They
so
I
do
mean,
that.
I booked them based on your recommendation because you had talked in the air a couple of years ago about how inexpensive it was and
Right.
and pretty easy
I mean,
peasy. So
like
we're-
anything, it's getting
wife
more
would-
expensive, but it's still very convenient
Very.
for some airports
Depending
that
on
you
where you're
wouldn't
going.
normally get to.
Right.
Right.
And there are limits. I mean, if you're going out to Los Angeles and you want to fly direct, they're great as long as you're going to fly on this day at this time.
Right.
Because they only go out there and
Yep.
then they
Once a
come
week.
back and it's once a week. So if you're going to go that day, and if you're going to go to Florida, they'll go to Florida, certain destinations, but it's only certain days of the week. And even when I go to Norfolk, Virginia, because my son's in Virginia Beach, it's very convenient, but it's only 3 days a week they fly there and fly
right.
back.
So that's what we're
So
doing. We're
you
going
have
to
to
Norfolk
you have to
this
work
summer.
your schedule around
Around
their
theirs,
schedule.
yeah.
I don't know if they're ready to expand that or not.
Be great.
I would actually prefer if they expanded the offerings of locations they fly to. If there's some of the more second tier, much like Southwest started
Right.
out as, and JetBlue
Yep.
started out as, where they were doing the, when you'd go to Chicago on Southwest, you never flew into O'Hare, you flew into Midway. When you came to Boston, you went to Providence. When you went to Dallas, you went to the other airport down there. I forgot the
Fort
name
Worth?
of it. No. But there was always the older airports that
Yeah.
were in the area. And, or you go to, like I said, Boston would either be Providence or Manchester. Now they go to Boston, so everything changes.
Right.
And Breeze probably maybe expanding that or expanding the number of days they're flying.
What time is the announcement?
They didn't say. So sometime
jets, maybe.
10 o'clock maybe this morning. So we'll have to see what's going on down there. The other thing with Breeze is, because I talked with Ed Carew, who flew them to North Carolina, worked out well, but you pay for everything. You want a bottle of water? $3.75.
Yeah, you're better off
So
just
it's-
buying your water in the terminal.
Bringing it on.
Bringing it on.
Right.
Yeah, so
It's such a short flight. Do
Or-
you even
or
need
better
it's
yet,
an hour and a half. You're right.
You know, pretty
or
short
better
flight.
yet, just skip it.
Yeah,
skip
that
it.
stuff makes
That's
me
right.
laugh all the time. Even people who complain about there not being meals on the flight anymore, and it's like, unless you're doing a long, 10+ hour flight, which
Yeah.
most flights are at least 4 or 5 hours to get you someplace good in the U.S. But you don't need to have all that extra stuff. I'd rather not pay for it. You don't need it anyways.
The last flight I was on, we flew from we were flying out to Los Angeles, and one of the flights there was so much turbulence they never even got around to being able to serve the drinks.
Did you see that Singapore flight last night?
I was gonna bring-
Oh, my
gosh,
goodness.
No, I
Yeah.
would not
That
have done
bad.
that.
No, but that was
But
crazy.
boy,
Someone died.
Yeah.
but boy, it was
Got
a,
ejected out of their seat. How did?
I can't even watch the foot. I heard of it. I can't watch
If
it.
they were 37,000 feet.
They
and
were
it-
going from Singapore to London. That's a long flight.
It's a long flight.
71 people injured.
Gosh, that's crazy.
And they had 200 passengers, 81 crew members. They got as far as Bangkok.
Yeah,
So that's
and
it.
it's-
We
What do you
we
do
gotta
as
land.
the pilot? Like, holy
The-
anxiety to
the
keep your
the
Well, I guess-
turbulence was
caution.
Right.
just out of control.
If you
so-
didn't know that it was coming, and it's usually not that kind of turbulence at that altitude. It's usually
Yeah.
much lower.
well,
when
that's
you're flying
what
up and down.
our flight was like. We were up to 33,000.
Really? Wow.
It's like, and even the pilot came on and said, "Flight attendants, please
Sit down.
Get in your
sit-
seats.
Please get in your seats and buckle
Buckle in.
put your belts on." And it's like, okay, this is going to be a rough ride,
It's
and it
gonna be
ended
a
up being a
bumpy
rough
ride.
ride almost the whole way.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, scary.
I have such flying anxiety. We need to change this topic.
But I've been on flights that turbulent, where the woman next to me, and after there's me, the aisle, then her, started throwing up. I said,
This is going to be great. Listen,
Oh,
the
boy,
lesson
this
you should
is
take
rough.
from this, Melissa, is that
I only worry
the
about.
plane
I
was
don't
intact
worry
when
about
it
the
came down.
fuselage. I worry about the
It
wings.
landed.
Because when you see
even
them,
through that turbulence, so you're in good shape.
when you hit turbulence and you see the wings and they're doing this.
They're designed to do that. They
I know
test
they're
them that way.
You know they're designed to do that, but it's like, okay.
So there's some listeners out there that are on my side of this. Topic
Oh, sure.
change. Yep.
Topic change. All right.
Joe Biden was in Boston. last night. It caused quite a bit of
Can we get
havoc.
back to the airlines?
Did he fly in?
Yes, he flew from New Hampshire to Logan.
Can you imagine that flight?
out!
Yes.
I've done it by small plane, and that's only
But he
about
disturbed
15
all the
minutes.
highway traffic in the process.
Yes, he did.
My husband was in it last
Maybe
night.
he
He
was-
did
said,
he
"What
get
a
caught
mess."
Was he flying
He had
Air
a
Force
meeting.
Point 1?
Cessna 172. Air
So
Force One.
no public appearances because he went to two different fundraisers.
Yeah.
One in the Seaport District, one in the Back Bay somewhere. Guess he raised a lot of money. And we're all happy to see him.
That's
Yeah.
what they do.
He's got a thing, but yeah, he did wreak havoc on the
He did.
on traffic.
Every
what with the
single-
Celtics at home and
Yep. Yep.
and the women's hockey, I think that was at home.
Yep.
Yep.
And all right,
Sorry.
where are we going now, Tim? All right, Waze, where are we going?
I was trying to figure something out while we were chatting, and there it was. Okay, Waze, you can go to sleep now. Let's go.
So yeah, so that was yesterday. Did he must have left Boston last night,
He did. He was in till 8:30, I think, and then
and then he was out of there back to Washington.
Frankly, I was
Bedtime
at
at
a
that
dinner
point for Joe.
celebrating the 50 years of Head Start in
for me.
Woonsocket, and
yeah?
I missed it completely, and I feel like I'm better off.
All right.
Oh yeah, I got a question about that. Speaking of presidential politics, what's up with this trial where you finish the trial and before you do the closing arguments, you take a week off?
They got to think about the closing arguments, I guess.
I gotta chalk it up to the judge. He's got other cases he's got to hear. It's not just this one he's on. He's on
No, I know
others.
that.
He's got to get to the others. But yeah, it's odd that they're going to take a week off
Yeah.
before we get to the closing arguments.
It's called "Let's draw this thing out as long as we possibly can."
Well, that's what the conspiracy theorists are all saying now. It's like, let's see if we can
been
get it
proven
so
wrong yet.
somebody says something stupid and we can declare a mistrial and start again. It's
Or maybe Trump says something and we
strange.
can throw the gag order at him and throw him in jail.
throw them in the hooskow.
Yeah. So I don't
I don't
know.
know. It's just
I
very
so
strange.
wanted
Oh, by the
him
way,
to testify. Can I just say that?
Oh, that would have been great.
I just
It
wanted.
would have been entertaining.
That would have been entertaining.
before I forget, I know there was a press release about the Memorial Day celebration
Yes.
or remembrance
Monday?
on Monday. But pay attention. For many years now, it's been at the park on Davison Street,
Yes.
but this time it's at World War II Veterans Memorial Park.
At 11
I'm
a.m.
assuming it's over near the monuments area
Yeah.
in the center where
There's
the new
something new.
monument was
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
opened. And because it's something new, they're going to do it there. So I just want people to be
right.
aware that it's not going to be at the normal Memorial Day remembrance
Okay.
ceremony.
We're gonna have
as
it
we
for you on
normally
the air
do.
here too.
Okay.
Do it live.
Just don't want people in the wrong place on that day.
So Massachusetts voted in what's called the millionaire's tax, and boy, it's bringing in a ton of money to the state of Massachusetts. They've made $1.8 billion so far in this fiscal year. That's $800 million more than they projected. And
Is that an income tax?
it's a 4% tax on earnings over $1 million. And us voters in Mass said, yes, let's do that. I don't remember voting on this, but
Now-
I'm sure I did. So
A question.
it's been thought to bring it to Rhode Island, and it keeps getting shot down.
A question to ask that doesn't seem to be part of that analysis is, and what has been lost as a result? Clearly, they're not going to tell you, but if you collect all of that income tax, how many business people have said, I'll go elsewhere if it was in their interest monetarily to leave? So they may have lost some sales tax, they may have lost some property taxes, they may have lost some other person's total income tax by relocating, or it may be that the effect, the downside effect may hit after this first go around where they collected the money and people start doing some profit analysis and cash flow analysis and say, yeah, okay, this isn't my favorite thing to do, so I will talk to people about going elsewhere.
You should come to Rhode Island.
And I experienced something similar back in the day when we had wholesale inventory tax in Rhode Island as a local tax. I was working in audit and there was a client that I went to, and he was running a business out of Providence that was a wholesaler for a product. And that's all he did was warehouse product and wholesale and move it in and out. And so the wholesale inventory tax was getting to the point in Providence where he said, this is ridiculous. And Massachusetts didn't have a wholesale inventory tax. So it didn't take long for him to figure it out. And the money involved was enough that he simply saw a building that would accommodate him in Attleboro, bought it, moved his whole operation there. He was still right next to Route 95. Nothing changed for him except he was paying less money out of pocket every year. And Providence loses a business.
So I'm going to make an assumption here that you don't want to see a millionaire's tax come to Rhode Island?
I'm not sure it makes sense. If you simply have your top tax rate in a stratified system high enough, then you're going to get the money you need. I mean, that's a gimmick. It really is just a gimmick.
How many millionaires do we have in Rhode Island
We have a few.
versus Massachusetts?
We have even a
Probably
few.
less.
You know what I'm saying?
We even have a few billionaires.
You're talking Massachusetts has got out towards the Berkshires, like a lot of that move over millionaire from New York into the Western Mountains, and obviously Boston attracts a lot. It's like comparatively speaking, I can't imagine
know.
we have that many.
Well, we got
Millionaires.
we got Taylor Swift.
Well,
That's
again,
true.
again,
There's one.
We have maybe a dozen.
it's millionaires in terms of earnings of $1 million
Yeah.
in a year. So this isn't just
Okay.
millionaires. This
Right.
is millionaires who earn $1 million a
it.
year.
Yeah.
And it's not everybody. And of course, I guess the question is because it involves S corps and people passing through income from the corporation to their personal tax return. Yes, it would affect people like that. So you may end up with some corporate restructurings because if that tax is too high, it might have them go back to a different corporate structure, which has the corporation tax, which may be a lower tax than the millionaire tax, to bring their wage down under $1 million and to have the corporation pay the lower rate than the millionaire tax. So it's a lot of accountants doing a lot of work right now trying to figure out how to get out of that. And guess what? They will find a way.
Well, I'm sure. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee Ant program and more coming up. And right now, time for the weather forecast, which is looking great, sponsored by Lowe's. Today will be a sunny day with a high temperature near 86. Southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, increasing clouds, low temperature around 61. Southwest wind 5 to 8 miles per hour. Thursday's weather, mostly cloudy. There is a slight chance of showers mainly after 2 p.m. High temperature will be near 86. Thursday night, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Low temperature around 63. Friday, mostly sunny. High near 83. Saturday, mostly sunny. High near 80. Currently, outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we have 77 degrees. Summer savings start now at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off, plus save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances from brands like KitchenAid. Offer valid through June 5th.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois. Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up gołąbki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
It's Coffee Ant on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Smith, John Ward, and Tim Draper. And Tim, time for your first message from the ON Radio's Business of the Day. Navigant.
Time out. We need to call this Tim time.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate the opportunity to participate in Tim Time. Life is complicated enough, and banking doesn't have to be. Navigant Credit Union lets you access your accounts 24/7, no matter where you are, with digital banking, and you can check balances, make deposits and transfers, pay bills, find an ATM, or pay a friend at home, at work, the gym, even in your grocery store. You can use our online banking platform, which you do on your computer or on your desk. Use your mobile bank, which is what I'm holding in my hand for my phone. Telephone banking, you can pay your credit cards pay your bills using your credit cards through your phone apps, both Apple and Google. So digital banking is an important part of your financial playbook, and you should be using it every day just to make sure that there's nothing nefarious going on with any of your accounts, because that's probably the best way to spot something that doesn't look right, is to check your balances on a daily basis. So rather than have to make the trip to the credit union, although we do love it when you do, you don't have to, and you can literally get up in the morning, read the newspaper, then check your accounts at the credit union, make sure that everything looks in order. And if you do that, or if you have any questions about how to do that, give us a call, 233-4700, or stop by our branch on Park Avenue and visit Christian and his team, and they'll show you how.
All right, very good there, Tim. Thank you. Now, we had a story a couple of days ago out in California where a man stole a Los Angeles police cruiser with the officer in the passenger seat.
That's
And now, as he's driving down the road, the cop fell out of the car, actually got injured, and then the guy crashed his car, crashed the cruiser to a couple of poles in another car. We almost had the same thing happen in Providence, where, a 34-year-old man, he allegedly stole a Providence police cruiser, but there was no cop in the police cruiser.
Allegedly, there's a video of the guy running down the road, getting into the car and driving away. There's no alleged about that. He did it.
He hasn't been convicted of anything.
Well, okay. There's a very clear video of
Well, they
what
tried
happened.
to stop Ishmael Lee for recklessly driving.
He'll plead innocent.
They got
He
to
will, yeah.
Yeah, they got to do a physical altercation, and how he did it once the gun fell out of his bag, and they were all
Right.
looking at the gun, he made a beeline for the car, hopped in, and took off.
Right.
He went about 5 blocks, and then he was stopped, and subsequently arrested. So
Yep.
These
Still-
are not intelligent people.
No.
Stealing a police cruiser is really.
this is one of the dumbest things you can
This
do.
is normally a story you reserve for like the last 10
I
minutes
know, but
of the
it
show.
happened in the state, so so that's why I bring
I
it
think
up
the
now.
California story is even more disturbing. Is how does a guy? What was the cop doing in the seat next to him?
Passenger side.
All I can think of is in the
Hey,
passenger-
how are you? What do
He-
Hey, you're taking the car. You shouldn't be doing that.
All I can think of is he's sitting in the passenger seat with his back to the steering wheel, so his feet are out the door,
Yeah.
writing
maybe.
something down. The car is always running,
Right.
so the guy just quickly hops in, throws it in drive, and goes. I mean, his
Make a quick left turn, the cop falls out.
That's right. The side door is still open,
Yeah.
and then he fell out.
Oh, it's-
So,
And they leave the cop cars.
he's gonna
on
be
all
okay
the time,
by then.
right? They don't.
Whenever they make
don't-
a traffic stop,
right, they
yes.
don't turn them off.
This is where in California? Does it
LA.
say? LA.
That happened in
Oh,
LA.
he'll be out on the streets in no time.
Surprised he's
They
probably,
probably won't even charge him. As long as he didn't damage the car. Did he damage
Well,
the
he
car?
did.
Oh, that might be
He
a fine.
He hit
and then
another
he'll be
parked
out.
car at a couple
There'll be a
of
slap on
poles.
the wrist and 20 hours of community service.
And he injured a couple of other people too. I don't know.
30 hours of community service.
Is that it?
It's California.
And I
of course
forget,
it's
I
it.
forget why.
Unless
why,
he's
why they
a
wanted him.
non-citizen, then we'll apologize to him.
So the cop is going to be. I don't know if the car's going to be okay, but the man was charged with stealing an automobile, he resisting arrest, possession of a firearm, and assault. So there you go. So there was yesterday down in Providence, big fight at Nathaniel Green Middle School in Providence. 2 kids, 14 and 15-year-olds, beat up another 14-year-old. No weapons. I'm like, wow. But bad enough where the one 14-year-old was knocked unconscious.
Oh my
Makes
gosh.
you wonder if he was knocked down and hit his head, or did they hit him and that knocked him out, or whatever. But he had to go to hospital. Not sure which one. Roger Williams is right down the road from Nathaniel
Right.
Green, so. But he's going to be. He is recovering. He's going to be okay. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
They say they were upset with each other.
I think so. I don't know.
Happened right after lunch, so maybe he took his grilled cheese. I don't know. So. But pretty bad.
Food fight.
That
Whatever happened in the old days?
more than
Food
that.
fights.
I know. It used to be like spitballs from your straw. Now
I-
it's like I'm going
I-
to block you in the.
I still say that a lot of this has to do with social media and video, where they make violence seem like it's something you just get up and walk away from, and
Yep.
kids don't realize
The consequences
that when
of it.
you do a full soccer kick on someone's head,
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
going to have serious repercussions, and not be something where the guy just wipes it off and walks away okay. They just have no concept
Yep.
of the damage they're doing.
You're right. So okay, and there was a woman from California that was sentenced for trafficking methamphetamines in Rhode Island.
Oh.
She got 4 years. which I don't think is really a lot of time for doing this, but that's what she got.
It's
her role.
unfortunate they couldn't connect her to somebody who died so they could charge her with murder.
I guess not.
I'll bet somebody came very close or died as
Well,
a result of the stuff she was
She's getting
selling.
the 4 years for her role. It delivered 4 pounds of crystal meth in 2022. So she's the mule. She's just,
The mule.
I have it, so she's taking it from here to there. Somehow an inmate in Maine got a hold of her. Okay, in California, go to Rhode Island, get the drugs, and they later got the drugs out of the car. I guess the police were tracking her, and they arrested her a couple days later. They searched the car, and they found more meth in a duffel bag in the engine compartment. Well, where I normally carry my bags, I threw it right in with the engine.
You know, it's funny, John. You were talking on Monday about how you don't understand how you can get drugs into a prison, given the fact that there's supposed to be all this high security and searching and all this stuff. And then Joe, you were talking about drones flying in.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear a drone. I mean, it's not like that's a quiet thing. If somebody was zipping a drone in over the prison, dropping some drugs in, somebody's hearing that.
All
I'm
right.
pretty sure. And I have the same question. How does that happen?
Well,
I don't know.
I think
have
the
a
answer
sense,
I got.
but-
The answer I got since then was simply this: there are guards who, for compensation, will look the other way.
Let it go. Yeah.
Overtime's not enough for them. They need real money,
Yeah, they can be bribed.
and that can happen too.
Didn't you see Shawshank Redemption?
I was just going
I
to
know.
say.
I know. That's right.
Oops, spoiler alert.
Red. I'm a man who can get things done.
Here's one of my wife's apple pies. They're delicious. You need to see the movie to get that. All right, if you're thinking of moving to Boston and buying a home, the average price of a single family home in the Boston area, $950,000.
Yep.
Isn't that insane?
That's the average price.
I know.
My-
We have family in Peabody, and that's still
That's
a half hour
Boston, but
north.
yeah.
But you
And
know what? That is part of what makes an average house in Rhode Island 400 and
50
something.
Something does,
yeah.
yeah.
58, I think. Is
That
right.
that 950 drives up the prices in Rhode Island
Right.
Yeah.
because people are trying to escape that and they come here, but they're willing to pay more, which
Yeah.
is sometimes asking plus.
My grandmother had a house in Belmont, where my mother grew up. She sold it in the late 70s. I think they sold it for like $100,000. It was a 2-story, very small, modest, on a main road in Belmont. Beautiful place. I saw the Redfin listing.
Too now.
It's $1.2 million. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they sold it for.
Yeah, I
$1.2 million.
believe
I went, oh my god,
I believe it.
that was unreal. And it's just still this tiny little house. They made it. They've done some work inside, but
What
wow.
blows your mind is like you're saying 900,000 plus whatever, but like buying that right now with the interest rates the way that they are, and then you're talking about Rhode Island coming. And that's the thing, you're talking about thousands a month difference in a mortgage. I mean,
Yeah.
and you're not saying like you say, you buy $1 million home, you're paying out of pocket, you're paying cash for that. Not anymore. Like everyone's financing, so you're,
And
you're
if you
really
want to
stretching.
if you want to be amazed, just turn on HGTV and watch Love It or Listed or House Hunters, and
Oh,
especially the Love It or Listed, depending on which city they're in or neighborhood
course.
area they're in.
I'm sorry.
They're,
What are you looking at? Tim's looking at his
I'm
phone.
sorry. Look at $1.4 million.
1.4.
Oh, for that house at Belmont?
Yeah.
but
That's
when
the
they
house.
get into these houses where they'll show a house,
Yeah.
and on Love It or Listed, they'll go find houses in the area, and if they're in one of these major urban metropolitan areas, they'll show a house and they'll say, yeah, it's got 2 bedrooms and 2-car garage, and you look at it and the house is there and the fences are
Right there.
6 feet away, and the back lot is maybe 50 feet deep, and it's got 6-foot fence all around it, and there's more of the same everywhere, and they say it's $900,000,
yeah.
and
Give us your best offer.
you just sort of stare at the TV screen and say, what, where? I'm never going there. It's ridiculous.
It's out of control.
So this
very
this
imbalanced.
price in Boston, it's a 60% increase from last year.
Yeah.
At
16 or 16?
16.
Yeah, 16.
It was 910 last year about this time.
ridiculous.
And they remind you, if you're going to buy a house and you want to put down the usual 20% down payment, you got to come up with $200,000.
And that's the thing. Like even if you want to sell and take advantage of what your house value is at right now,
Where are you going?
where are you going?
Yeah. So Boston is having the same.
Not to Boston.
And you're not carrying the interest rate that you were able to refinance
Well,
during
see,
the
that's the thing.
pandemic.
If you were living in a city like Boston or neighboring communities, and you had that big increase over 3 years or 4 years, where you may have had a $500,000 house that's now worth $1.2 million, you could actually sell that and move. As long as you're moving out of that area, especially the closer you get to these big cities, you can actually move out to the further out in the suburbs or other areas and actually save money on what you're buying, and only add to your commuting cost. But otherwise, I mean, it's like why so many people from Rhode Island, when they leave Rhode Island, will go to North Carolina or South Carolina. It's just a lot cheaper down there, and to buy both the house and for ongoing expenses.
For now, and then the
now.
then the number of
it's
people
creeping
do it
up-
will
it's
drive those
creeping up
prices
down
right up.
there.
Florida's
But
out of
it's
control
still
now.
lower there than it is here.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take our final break here on the Coffee and program, so it's time for a second message from the ON Radio Business of the Day, Navigant Credit Union. So back to you, Tim.
Thanks, Joe. Again, just another public service about fraud and financial exploitation for our friends in the community. It is still running hot and heavy. The bad guys are finding new ways to try to separate you from your hard-earned money every day. And we ask you to do one thing when when you find yourself in an emotional, highly charged situation. Somebody might have called you, somebody might have talked to you, and you're feeling very emotional. Stop. It's the simple thing we ask people to stop and take a breath. Think about what's happening, and then call somebody close to you to give you a hand, help you walk through it. We find that's the best defense when it comes to fraud and exploitation. Is just stop, take a deep breath, and think about what's happening. If it doesn't seem right, it's probably not. Is no shame, no shame in calling the credit union, calling the police department, telling them what's going on, asking them for their opinion. We're all in this together. We're all here to help each other so that, we know it takes a lot to earn the money that you have for your retirement or even just the money that you have. So don't let it get separated from you by the bad guys. If you're not sure of something, if it smells fishy, probably is a fish. Give us a call, 233-4700. Talk to somebody at the contact center. We're right over there in Smithfield. We have a great security team. And if we can't figure it out, then we'll certainly bring in all of our partners around from the state police to the FBI to the Secret Service. So, again, there is no shame, there's no harm in telling us that you think you might be in a situation. So please do that. Reach out.
Very good, Tim. Very good, Tim. And more of the Coffee and program coming your way. Please stay tuned.
Now, how many businesses in Woonsocket can you name that have recently tripled in size? Now, one comes to mind right away. Woonsocket Discount Liquors, formerly Champs Liquors. You know, the walls were kind of closing in with our location down on Clinton Street, so they moved up to the Woonsocket Plaza on Diamond Hill Road. Lots of rooms there. Changed their name to Woonsocket Discount Liquors. Tripling their size means that you have a much wider selection to choose from at Woonsocket Discount Liquors, next to Burlington Coat Factory on Diamond Hill Road in the Woonsocket Plaza, Woonsocket.
This is an ad about a self-made teen. Me. See, I go to school, I do my chores, but I also have my own goals. I'm saving what I earn from making radio ads like this one to buy a gaming computer, and I'm using my Embark account to do it. With no fees, mobile banking, and a money management tool, it's like a spend account, but a lot smarter. So if you're a self-made teen like me, I suggest you get one too. The Embark account, banking for the self-made teen. Navigant Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
All right, it's Coffee and here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Smith and Tim Draper and John Ward. John, this isn't a problem yet, and I hope it never becomes a problem here in the city of Woonsocket, but it's a problem in Providence, and it's also a problem in Boston, and it's these the guys, and I'm going to assume it's the guys. It doesn't really seem like a woman's thing to do, but they ride the dirt bikes and the ATVs on the city roads in both cities, and they just roar down the streets out of control. They say they're illegal dirt bikes and ATVs, and
I'm thinking,
they're not.
what a great opportunity for those spikes that they throw out in the road to
stop the
blow up the
speeders.
tires.
Yeah. Well, they're not registered vehicles, and they're just tough to catch.
We have similar problems in my neighborhood, actually, but it's only because of
this?
one person who has one of those things who, on
Likes to race up and
weekends,
down the
you'll hear
street?
the roaring down the street, going far faster than he should, with no registrations because he's heading up into the woods to go ride trails.
Right.
And I wish I could be out there to throw some spikes in the street, blow out his tires, and have him have fun with that. But yeah, we don't have that problem that I've ever encountered.
And in Boston and Providence, they're drag racing on the streets too.
Yes, and I have to commend Mayor Smiley for taking care of it much more in Providence than the former mayor would. He's been rather aggressive on it.
Well, they want to, seize the vehicles and.
They gave him to Puerto Rico last time, didn't they? They actually gave him to a police department somewhere. I thought it was Puerto Rico, and said, "Listen, here's these vehicles you can use for traffic for your police department."
Wow.
And so they instead of just destroying them, they sent them someplace where they could be useful, which I thought was a good thing, positive result.
And also up in Boston, 10% of the dirt bikes and the ATVs that they do seize are being driven illegally and have been found to be stolen. So they're stealing somebody else's, so they can race it up and down the street. So.
Now, if they take them back after they've been stolen, will they return them to the original owner? I wonder.
If they can find out who it is.
But if the original owner has claimed an insurance
if
claim
they've
or something,
claimed it or
and
something.
maybe they can't.
I don't know.
Interesting.
All right, so just make sure it doesn't come to Woonsocket, John. Okay. Keep on top of that.
You're on it. Put your little red vest on and a flag and get out there on the streets.
But
when I'm elected mayor, I will be more aggressive than Mayor Smiley if it ever comes to pass. No, they have no place on our streets.
All right, I have asked Chief Oates on this program. Do you see this as an issue here in the city of Woonsocket? And this was a year or so ago, and it was no. That's not an issue here. We watch it. We know what's going down in Providence.
As I said,
we want to see if
occasionally somebody who's riding something through a neighborhood to get to a trail in the woods will go through on a Saturday morning, and they'll just race by your house and they head to the woods. And before you can catch them, they're already up in the woods. And
now you can't find them.
Well, I guess they could if they were really aggressive, but it's just one rider, one vehicle.
Well, researchers in Southern California are predicting doom if and when a massive glacier in Antarctica breaks off.
Thwaites.
Yep. University of California Irvine scientists discovered that warming ocean waters are rushing underneath a group of large glaciers, including the enormous, how do you say it?
Thwaites
Glacier. Why did they name it? It must be someone's name.
It's somebody's name, and it's blocking. It's acting as a block for the rest of the glacial material that would fall into the ocean if that one were to collapse. Because that one's sitting on water mostly, but much of it's on land. That's what's holding it in place. And so as the water rushes in underneath and it melts underneath, it slides down further and further. And if it collapses, then the rest of the glaciers come rolling down the hills. And they're talking up to possibly 10 feet of ocean water level rise because of it in a fairly short order.
So what's the other name, John? You know, what's the other name for the Thwaites Glacier?
The Doomsday Glacier.
It is called the Doomsday Glacier. Yep, the water has made its way miles
and
underneath the frozen
people think I only
ice.
know accounting. I read that stuff all the time.
If that's what's happening, I mean, how do you stop that? It's
combine,
not like you can
combine that
turn
with
the
Greenland.
temperature down.
Combine that with Greenland and South and Antarctica, and it is going to be a problem in the next 100 years. There's no doubt about it, and that's why I get upset when government tries to protect people who want to live on the coast, as the coast is eroding away and they're building their houses over again. And it's like, you people are stupid.
Yep.
Why do we allow it to happen?
Yep.
If sea levels rise an inch, coastal communities can be inundated with water. Researchers say that glacier, the Doomsday Glacier, is large enough to raise global sea levels by 2 feet.
Oh, 2 feet. Just that glacier.
Just that one. Yeah, which would cause catastrophic results around the world.
Oh, yeah.
So
Chesapeake Bay would be in real trouble if that came about.
Yeah.
But
Happy
you know,
news.
you have to think about the fact
Eventually
that
gonna have waterfront
in
property.
history, if you know anything about geography and geology, if you know about the Badlands out in the West, what caused the Badlands to happen, if you watch your National Geographic channel, is simply that, as the last ice age, when the ice cover was receding, there was this giant dam of ice that was holding up water. And as it was melting, and there was this lake being formed, this huge lake being formed, and then when the ice wall finally collapsed, everything emptied out like within a day. And it just stripped the land as it was running through, and it created the Badlands. It stripped off the entire top layer of everything that was there. And so these things happen from time to time. But this, they're claiming, has to do as much with this global warming cycle, which they claim is man-made, and much of it has more to do with the warming of the ocean water than it has to do with the warming of the air. Because we think about the warming of the air and the fact that it's going to be 88 degrees today. But it really is more about the ocean water that's warming as a result, too. And that's a problem. And people are going to have to deal with it. I'll be dead. Have fun.
Now,
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like,
when Tim and I were youngsters, and I'm talking elementary school.
Yeah.
Although we went to the same town but different elementary schools. But didn't your science teachers, like in 3rd and 4th grade, because I know they told me, my class, there's another ice age coming.
Yeah, there's always another
They
ice
said-
age coming.
We're like, okay. And then they said, don't worry about it. It's going to be hundreds of years from now. You won't be here. Oh,
I think
great,
they said
nothing
that
to worry
around the
about.
blizzard of
Here it is.
'78. They said, Jesus, there's another ice age coming.
It'll basically be thousands of years from now. And actually,
all right.
if the ocean water warms too much, and the Arctic ice melts, and the Labrador Current coming down, and I think I've talked about this before, if the Labrador Current coming down loses its velocity because the water warms too much, and that'll cause, which they're already talking about, is the ocean cycles like what do you call it? The current in the Atlantic that runs up the coast. But the current of water that's bringing warm water up the Gulf Stream. If the Gulf Stream, it's slowing down, and if it were to stop, everything changes, and so the rest of the middle of the world may get warmer. But guess who gets really cold? Northern Europe and North America. And so while everybody's overheating, we'll be put into a deep freeze, and you could end up with something that triggers the ice age because the top of the world gets so cold because the ocean currents stop that it switches everything around.
It's a science class here. I like this. This is great.
But again,
But
I'll be dead. I don't care.
yeah, we don't care.
I have to just laugh because there's so many fun facts in your head that it reminds me. It reminds me of my dad. So we'll sit and have like dinner with
lives
my
in your
parents,
head?
and my brother or sister and I will just sit there sometimes, and we call it like. I mean, he's Dutch, so he's just a stubborn Dutchman, and he comes out with all these random facts, and I won't use inappropriate language, but the bottom line is we don't even challenge it, and it could all be BS coming out of your
That's
mouth,
true.
but
It
we're
could
like,
be.
whatever.
We don't know.
You
So
know?
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's how
So-
it sounds right. So
I'm gonna go back and fact check it when I get to the office. But
And in 12 trillion years,
I
the
know there was a
entire
golf
universe will be dead and frozen. So who
'cause,
cares?
what are we going to do about the sun? It's getting bigger,
It is.
How do we stop it?
And the moon's moving further away, so the
That's right.
But
tides
do
are going
your
to weaken.
kids, do your kids ever just like roll their eyes at you and say, "Oh, Dad, seriously"?
Oh
Like,
no! It actually
or do
becomes.
they-
We have
are
great
they all,
great
like,
conversations about it.
big
yeah.
brains like you and just soak
It's-
up every
it's-
random fact that, yeah.
I just love reading that stuff. And
Check out the big brain.
That's
on
why
John.
if you ever look at the stuff I post on Facebook, it's a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
I have recently posted an opinion, but it's rarely making comments or opinions about something. It's more about, here's an article, and I think I posted that one, and my title on it was, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And that's it. Because I want people to go read it and
Yeah.
see if there's something
do
there
that.
for them that they're interested in. So I usually put these
And
little
I'll see your
innocuous
post, and I
comments.
never have the time to click the link and open
you
it.
got
and
it.
read
It's
but
actually
now I gotta
entertaining.
start
I've
to
done
do
a
that.
couple. I didn't do this one.
Well,
I'll
if you
plan
see
that for
me post,
vacation. When
if
I'm
you
on
see me
vacation,
post an
I'll
article,
just-
it's usually probably something quirky like
Of
that.
of
That I
interest.
think is worthy of reading.
All right. LAPD, they're launching a criminal investigation. I don't know if you heard about this guy. There's a daredevil guy out there by the name of Ben Schneider. He's got a better known name as Reckless Ben. He's a tightrope walker, and he walked between two towers at the Oceanwide Plaza in LA, 45 stories up. And somehow he was able to get past the police that were guarding the property, and then it took him 2 minutes to walk between the two towers on a nylon rope.
Okay, so I have a question.
Who's holding the rope?
How did you
tied
set
it
that up
secured.
and nobody noticed it?
Well, I don't know. Somehow he tied it off so he could get up there. And then there's a second person who videotaped the whole thing.
Well, probably the guy at the other end when he shot the rope across between the buildings who was tying it up on that side.
See, I feel like the honestly, it's
yeah.
adrenaline based. Like I feel like it happens so quickly because you don't even have time to sit there and look down over the edge
Oh, yeah.
and,
Just look ahead.
and question what stupid thing I'm about to do. So it's
The video was on his
spontaneity.
YouTube page, but somebody has removed it, so you can't go watch it and try to replicate it, kind of thing. All right.
I'm good.
So we got a few more seconds to go, and U.S. News and World Report has put out their list of the best place to live in the United States. And where do you think it is?
Woonsocket?
No,
Montana somewhere.
no, Melissa,
Not even a guess.
Naples, Florida.
Oh, really?
Really?
Even though half of it was destroyed last year in a hurricane.
And it was,
If-
and it's
okay.
traffic galore, and you can't
I'll
move
just
around.
say if you can afford it.
Or
Yeah.
if
Well,
you
that's
afford
what. Well, part of the factors are affordability. I don't know what the costs
That's
are
a-
for houses.
that's a
down there,
relative
but okay.
term.
It is. Quality of life is good, I guess. The job market and desirability. A lot of people just want to go there.
Oh, it's a nice place to live.
Hmm.
At least when I visited, it's a nice place to visit. Certainly.
There's a few other cities.
And if you're a golfer, there's plenty of places to
courses.
golf.
There's plenty of, and there's a lot of other towns in Florida that made the list as well: Sarasota, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tallahassee, Daytona Beach, and Miami. So,
Obviously, they're not Catholics.
I
They
wouldn't
didn't
have guessed
include.
that.
They didn't include Ave Maria,
Well, like the Midwest, I would have thought.
well,
which is
yeah.
it's a great little town in the middle of nowhere.
Is it?
Yeah, it was created by the, I guess, former owner of Domino's, who was a devout Catholic, and when he sold out, or when he was running the franchise stuff, he literally went to the middle of Florida, bought up land, and built a town. And now
like business.
they've got all of these Del Webb housing developments around it, but
We
they've
can't
got
even
this.
question this. We
No,
can't even
yeah,
question
I agree with
his.
John.
They've got this beautiful well, we've been there to golf.
No, but I'm talking about the story.
there's
Like
actually
the
an-
But we
Domino's
visited.
owner that
We
case.
visited the church, and they've got it. They got a Catholic school there, and they've got these apartments that they built into the town. It's beautiful, but it's out in the middle of nowhere, and it's not exactly next to the coast, so you're not going for a swim very easily.
All right, we got to wrap
so
things up, John. So
It gets
sorry
hot
about
in the summertime.
that. Okay, that'll do it for Coffee Hour for today. Thanks for listening. So, Melissa,
Sorry.
do the fact checking.
awesome.
Thanks
See
for
you
coming in
next
today.
week.
Alrighty, and Tim Draper, thanks for coming in.
Ciao, everybody. Enjoy the day.
All right, and John, thanks for coming in.
I thought we were going another hour.
No, we can't.
It's so great
Some
to
of
see
us
us
are
go
retired,
from.
have to go to work
It's so
today.
great to see us go from October to August in 48 hours. So enjoy the God-given day.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day. Stay tuned for Community Care Alliance next on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the